information out about the Union Hill, Union Grove community and what we're going through, the struggles that we're dealing with, and dealing with the Atlantic Coast Pipeline and the proposed compressor station for this area.
Paul Wilson is the senior pastor of Union Grove Baptist Church in the Union Hill community. Dominion Energy is scheduled to have the Atlantic Coast Pipeline to run through members of his congregation properties. But the major threat is a compressor station, which is scheduled to be built near the church.
The Atlantic Coast Pipeline is a 600-plus mile pipeline that goes from West Virginia to North Carolina with a spur down towards the end of the line that goes off into the Tidewater, Virginia area. And we believe that this is an unnecessary line. They have one proposed compressor station for Virginia, which is in this immediate community, within walking distance, less than a mile from this church. We are at ground zero. We're a sacrificial zone. If anything goes wrong, we're automatically gone. These things do blow up.
Listen as Dominion's Director of Area Transmission Operations, Kevin Zink, explained how the compressor station works.
So we have to add the transmission relay compressor stations to boost the pressure in the pipeline. It comes in through a suction line into the compressor station. It goes through a filter separator element that we have that takes out any impurities that might be in the gas. The compressor basically is driven by an engine, in this case a turbine. The gas goes into the compressor, it boosts the pressure when it's in the compressor. It goes back out into a discharge line from the station. It goes back into the main pipeline on a downstream side at a higher pressure.
But Pastor Wilson says his concerns are for his congregation. Many of them live near the church, most of whom were born and raised in the area and have remained there for decades.
There are several known slave cemeteries in some of the wooded areas here. Now those graves are basically unmarked, and, but some of them have a stone, but there are some depressions in the ground. And we know about those, but we don't have any idea of the persons that are buried there.
More than 125 people crowded into the Union Hill Baptist Church in Buckingham. Our cameras were rolling when Krishna Das, a renowned chanter, performed call and response chanting during the Circle of Protection interfaith prayer vigil.
The people here, they don't have access to all the things that they need to make a big impact. They don't have the access to publicity and the money to make things known, make the situation known. So they become victims of not only poverty, but also the big money that's coming in trying to mess things up for them. And they don't have any way to say and express what their own desires are.
Das says he was excited to see the standing room only crowd. Members of the environmental justice team for RISE were among the crowd. Chanda McGuffin is a co-founder of RISE.
RISE traveled over. We have, I think, about 8 people with us today. We traveled over to Union Hill because we wanted to show our support, but we also was part of the program.
I questioned McGuffin about the prayer vigil.
Oh, it was just so powerful. It was uplifting. Everyone was on one accord. They were excited. They have true passion, and it's just so hard to believe that Dominion is not recognizing the people in this. They're looking at the dollar. When I think about the history that is going to be affected here, their land has been passed down for generations and generations from former slaves that was their ancestors. I don't know that there's a dollar figure that is going to be appropriate for what the impact of what will happen for years down the road.
The pastor admits he is suspicious about Dominion's proposed Atlantic Coast Pipeline and the compressor.
This thing is ultimately going to be paid for by the ratepayer of the line. Dominion has created a false narrative on false premises. Dominion itself said 6 or 7 years ago that there was enough gas in the system as it stood to take us well into the 21st century.
In Buckingham, Elaine Rackley for Breaking Through News.